So Mike, talk a little bit about your own personal journey through stewardship, giving, and generosity. When did you make your first gift? Can you remember that first gift, and how your theology has grown and evolved over the year to where you are today with this kind of passion?
I grew up in a Bible teaching church, Joel, and I understood what tithing meant and giving, and I assented to it. I can't recall if I felt responsible to do that as a college student or not. Um, but I got engaged right out of college, and my wife and I, as part of our premarital counseling, the counselor required us to go through a Bible study on stewardship. It's a former ministry. I don't think they exist anymore. And we went through it, and there was a chapter that just takes you through the verses on tithing. And Angie and I just sat there very matter of factly. We're 23 years old. Here's what God's word says. Here's what we're going to do. I'm a youth pastor. She didn't even have a full-time job. We made about $1. And we're going to give 10 cents to our church. I didn't work for the church at that time. And we just made that decision. It was a hard and fast decision and a commitment, even knowing that we were called to ministry. We weren't even called to the church yet, but we tithed to our church first and foremost. And we never looked back on that so personally. So my wife and I, all through our years of serving in all kinds of situations, but especially these years being pastor, that's just been a bedrock of our own personal practice. So it's not hard for me to recommend it to every believer, because I can talk about going through lots of different income ranges. And in fact, I still tell the story in our membership class when I teach it, or every couple of years in a tithing sermon. We were 25. Again, I was on Young Life staff at this point. We made no money. And I was driving this big Oldsmobile. It was bright yellow, big, huge, like Delta 88 or something like that. Like I could get half of my youth group in that thing. But it developed a problem and it wouldn't go into reverse. And we didn't have the money to fix it. But we were tithing. But Angie and I didn't even once consider, well, but the car won't go in reverse. We didn't even think about that. We just went on a cycle. It took us about a year to save up or something. But it taught me strategic thinking, because everywhere I went in that big, huge Delta 88, I had to think ahead. Where can I park? I would like circle around and around until I could find a parking space where I could head in and head out. So at least I learned something from it. But that was not a consideration for us to not honor God with our first and our best. Even though we had that need, we were still able to function. So everybody at Lake Forest has heard the big yellow Delta 88 story. And the longer they've been here, the more they probably roll their eyes every time I tell it. But it speaks to Angie and I's just very simple, direct faith in those years.